So as part of the PUI rollout, we are doing a significant amount of data cleanup. And I'm here with Christy Tomecek to talk a little bit about that, why we're doing data cleanup at this point in time. But Christy, you work with a team,
yes,
a work group.
Yes, so I am the co-lead of this team. The other co-lead is Alicia Dedelich from Manuscripts and Archives. And other members include Mark Custer, Timothy Thompson, and Yun. So it's been really a group effort to get all this done, because there's a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
So tell us why this is an important thing to do at this point in time.
Well, as the public user interface becomes the access system of record, we want to make sure that researchers are able to find what they need easily and as best as possible. The other issue is that previously in the Yale Finding Aid database, there was sort of a mediation that happens with that. So while we've been using archive space on the staff side for a while, things generally will get exported from it, then transformed using a computer language called XSLT, and then put up. So we need to make sure now that it's not only the place we are putting our data, but where it gets published immediately for researcher access, we need to make sure that it's all clean and accurate. So this way people know what they're supposed to request and any restrictions that may be on it. And also just to make sure that any private information, like what would happen with student records, for instance, isn't just out there when we don't need it to be.
I see. So so basically, for example, if repositories have entered dates in different ways, this can be really confusing for researchers because things won't always appear that are, what they're trying to search for like that, right? Isn't that one of the fields that you guys are working on?
Yes, absolutely. Dates is one of the larger ones because archive space has a lot of capabilities for sorting by dates. However, you need to actually put it in a correct field in archive space, what's called a machine readable or machine actionable field. Mm-hmm. And if we don't have dates in there, the archive space isn't going to know, oh, let me look at that and sort things. So this way, if a researcher's like, show me anything from 1970, if it's not a machine readable field, archive space is not going to know.
Find it.
Yeah.
It's not going to find it.
Exactly.
So what other information, what other kinds of data are you working with?
One has to do with publication. As it stands in archive space, you can select whether or not the data is published. In the old version, it didn't matter much because you're only the staff's looking at it. But now we need to make sure things that are published are actually meant to be. So this way, researchers are supposed to see the data. Mm-hmm. Another major thing is restrictions. Archive space has wonderful capabilities for sorting restrictions, including adding whether it's just permanently restricted or if there's a date limit. So like if something can be seen after 2071, the system will actually know to switch it. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure those restrictions are in place so this way researchers are also clear what they can or cannot order back, or if they have to actually contact a repository or an archivist to look at things. Mm-hmm. We are also interested in things that are less about straight ahead, like publication or restrictions where it's super important, but also just important for a unified feel. So we want to update our label so this way all of the notes that are in a finding aid, normally like, scoping content or biographical, all read the same way so it's clearer to researchers. We also want to clean up our extend statements, so this way we all are referring to like these kind of boxes or this kind of audio tape or so on and so forth, because standardization just makes it easier for everyone, I feel.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess my last question is, how do you guys go about cleaning up the data? Like, what does that process look like? You obviously aren't doing it manually.
There's only a little bit of manual. No, I'm kidding. So it's had a few phases. One of the first phases was doing what we call data auditing. So much of this is actually done in the back end of archive space, which is a database in a language called SQL. So we generally have an idea of what we want our data to look like. Also, we have an idea of pitfalls of data. Even before we do data auditing, actually, we had gone to each of the repositories at Yale to ask them, what do you know is your pain points? What are things you are concerned about? Things like that. And then we use that information to search the database for things like restrictions that use the word restrict in the free text field but doesn't have any of the machine actionable bits in places, or we are looking for things that are published and things that are not published. Then after we have all that data, we sorted it by repository, and then again we went back to the repositories with some of this data and asked them to please review it and tell us if we're on the right track, if this needs to be changed. And then our final push, which we're in the process of doing now, because we want this all done before the PUI even goes into the soft launch, is dates were actually have gone straight to Lyrasis, the vendor that supports ArchiveSpace at Yale, to the updates directly in the SQL table database. Other information, so we're getting ready to update extents right now. We're also going to start restrictions soon. Is we use another computer language called Python to update the system in another way. And then our final step will be doing quality control of all this data. So we'll be looking for things that are common errors. We will also be asking repositories to double check some of the more tricky things that we may think looks incorrect, but the repositories will know better, or vice versa.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.